else. But what we do know and what we have reported today is that they are preparing to issue a series of subpoenas, some of which ask questions about the 2017 intelligence assessment, which, again, has been parsed over and over, and no wrongdoing has been found. And in fact, I mean, I reported at the time on the Durham investigation and the pain that CIA officers, for example, had to go through. They had to hire lawyers and go through rigorous questioning by prosecutors, something that no CIA officer wants to experience. And at the end of the day, as you said, John Durham published a report in 2023, didn't lay a glove on that assessment, didn't impugn it in any way. He was critical of the FBI, but not of the CIA. So where this thing goes is perplexing to all of us, but that's the state of play as I understand it.
Ken, let me do two things. I mean, John Ratcliffe, now the head of the CIA, ordered another assessment, and that assessment also corroborates the actual intelligence, nitpicks some of the tradecraft, and then John Durham distorts those findings. And that's some of the intel referral that they talk about when they talk about a referral being made to DOJ. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. There was an appendix of the Durham report that was declassified. But I think the way Trump officials have characterized some of this evidence is just not right. I mean, this is very complicated, but it has to do with some evidence that some emails that suggested that the Clinton team was essentially trying to put out the story of Trump-Russia collusion, but Durham himself concluded that these emails were fakes. They were concocted, possibly by Russian intelligence. But that's not how they were described by Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe. And, I mean, it just doesn't seem to be on the level. And you're right, the Ratcliffe assessment that he ordered up, it was very careful to say that it was not criticizing the overall conclusion by the CIA and other intelligence agencies that Russia interfered in the 2016 election and did so in a way that seemed designed to help Donald Trump. It had other sort of lesser criticisms of John Brennan and whether he was putting his thumb on the scale, which John Brennan hotly disputes. But yeah, that's what you're saying is accurate.
So, Andrew Weissman, viewers of this program have been covering this story since before you were available to talk to viewers, to me, or share all of your brilliance with our viewers because you were inside the Mueller probe. And so they'll be familiar with these names, but let me just underscore them. Marco Rubio, now Donald Trump's at least one cabinet position. He used to have two, but he's at least the Secretary of State. He might also still be the National Security Advisor. He was the chairman of a committee that he, as a senator, described as this way, quote, "No probe into this matter has been more exhaustive." John Durham, this was like the Wright's Robert Mueller without any courtroom success, without any actual accomplishments, a single plea deal from a low-level FBI lawyer. And then John Ratcliffe. And if he sounds familiar, it's because he worked in an intel job in 1.0. He's back as the head of the CIA in 2.0. And when he got back, when Trump won and wanted to resurrect this, he had the CIA review all these things that Marco Rubio and John Durham already reviewed. And this is what the CIA, under Ratcliffe, under the emboldened Trump 2.0 found, quote, "The ICA demonstrated strong adherence to tradecraft standards. This level of analytic rigor exceeded that of most intelligence community assessments. The DA review does not dispute the quality and credibility of the highly classified CIA serialized report that the intelligence community assessment authors relied on to drive the aspired judgment." So if Brennan is indicted, as Comey and Tish James have been, there are people willing to take Trump's orders to present one side of an issue to grand juries. And so we should put that out there in the universe of the possible. Three people who could defend him if it goes to trial are Donald Trump's Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, Donald Trump's current director of the CIA, and Donald Trump's favorite special prosecutor or investigator, John Durham.
And every member of the Senate who signed that report. So the way I look at this is there's the issue of John Brennan. Not only is there no evidence to suggest that he did anything wrong, we are aware of zero evidence. In fact, this is a case where, as you point out, there is ample investigations that show he did not do anything wrong. So that's on one side of the ledger. And I think the ledger that we have to be looking at is the Department of Justice. One, announcing an investigation into somebody is in complete violation of Department of Justice rules. Announcing and leaking that you are issuing subpoenas is in complete violation of FBI and DOJ rules. And I'd like to point out something about the forum shopping. Ken pointed out that this was being done in Florida because that's where the Mar-a-Lago search was. The Mar-a-Lago search has nothing to do with John Brennan. John Brennan was not in government, if I recall, when that search happened. If you were going to look, assuming that there was even a shred of evidence to investigate, you would be looking in the DC area. So I'd like to contrast the forum shopping of going to Florida that this administration is doing with Carol Lenig's reporting about what Jack Smith did. Jack Smith brought his Mar-a-Lago case in Mar-a-Lago because he did not want to engage in forum shopping. DC obviously would have been a better forum. There were people on his team who had said that to him, who thought that's where it should be brought. And he was said, no, I'm not going to do that because that's where all of the facts are. That's where the case should be tried. And I'm not going to play games. Compare that to what you're seeing here, which is leaking this information and bringing it in a forum that clearly is inappropriate so that you can hope to get, presumably, Judge Cannon on the case. I mean, you have a real dichotomy in terms of the way in which you're supposed to behave and the way in which they are behaving.
Owns Donald Trump's candy ass, right? And none of this is me defending that dumb Vladdy. But Donald Trump is, like, I want to get too crude here, but Donald Trump is Vladdy's bitch, right? Like, we know this, right? Right? Like the United States president is more powerful than the Russian president. This isn't the Cold War where the Soviet Union was more powerful. Like, Russia's a joke now, and the United States is more powerful, right? Like Russia's isolated. They're weak. They've been proven to be far weaker than they were by the disaster of the Ukraine war. I know that's not over yet, but the whole narrative was 24 hours, 48 hours, it was game over. That's what it was supposed to be, right? Like, they were supposed to be the unrelenting might of Putin's army. And yet, that failed, and yet still Trump continues to bend the knee and is now still trying to silence anyone who even years ago brought up elements of his weakness regarding Russia, right? And he keeps doing this because he knows it's still a weak point for him. One of the, now this, I don't think this was officially confirmed, but sources did indicate this, that one of the reasons Trump stole the documents. Remember that? Remember, felt like a lifetime ago, Trump stealing the documents after he left the White House? One of the rumors was that he was going to give them to Vladdy. There was no confirmation of that. But one of the rumors was he felt that there was still proof that he could use to try to clear his name on the Russia stuff that he knew was so bad for him. And if he just had those documents, he and his team could go through them and fix that. You know what I mean? They would have time over the 4 years he was out of office to find the truth. And it was in those documents. That's one of the rumors about why he stole it. And it's like, why do you care so much, Donald? And I think the reason is it's a weak point. Putin's got something on him. All these videos that have come out just really show a desperate Trump. Right? And now he's trying to overcompensate by in a nuclear dick waving contest. Right? For excuse my language, but that's what it is. Right? And so it's only going to get worse for Trump. Vladimir Putin has something on him. Whether it's the P tape, I don't know. But he has something on him. And it's only, and Donald is indebted to an evil man who's in charge of a crumbling empire of his own.